Following on from lesson 3, the channel box basics, we're going to continue with this object that we created. If I select the object, I'm going to hit W to move it up in the Y direction. As you can see here, we can even type in an exact value, translate Y. For this lesson, we're going to go into the components of the object. So that means going into the vertex, edges, and the faces. We're also going to extrude out some faces, and we can manipulate the faces that we extrude. To see a better view of this, we're going to go into the 4-panel view to show us the front, the side, and the top views as well. We can do this simply by tapping the spacebar. Once we're in the viewport, I had this in translate Y. So in the viewport, hit the spacebar, and that will show us the 4 views. Here you can see perspective, here's the top view, here's the front view, and the side view. If I press Shift and F with the object selected, Maya will automatically focus up inside this object in each of the viewports. In the side view, I'm going to right click on the object, holding down the right click button, and we can go over edge, vertex, or face to go into each of these components. We want to go into the vertex, so I'm going to wait until it's over the vertex box and it's highlighted, and then let go of the right mouse button. Here you can see we can now select on the components and manipulate these. I'm going to Control Z or Z to undo. I'm going to click and drag to select what looks like these 4 center vertex. As you can see in the perspective view, we've selected these 4 here, but because this is orthographic, it's selected all the vertex that are directly behind it. I'm going to go to the scale tool or hit an OR on the keyboard, and I'm going to scale it out in the Z axis. Maybe to about there. I'm going to go into the front view, click and drag to select these 4 center ones, which are all these vertex in the center here, because we're looking down this view here. Now if I hit the center of the scale, the center box here, it's going to uniform scale it up, and that's not what we want in this case, so Control Z to undo. If I scale it in the Y direction, which is the box here, it's going to scale it and shrink it. As you can see in the perspective view up the top right corner, that it's not exactly what we want. So I'm going to Control Z again to undo that. We're going to scale it in the X axis, which is the red. So click on that, and that will scale it out exactly how we need. I'm going to go up to the perspective viewport now and tap the spacebar. That will maximize the perspective view. I'm going to right click on the object and go to object mode. That will bring us back to the main object mode and out of components. Now I'm going to press Alt, hold down Alt and right mouse click to zoom out. You can also use the scroll wheel to zoom out. I'm going to Alt, left mouse click to rotate around the view. Now we want to get into a different component. We want to get into the faces. So I'm going to right click on the object and go to face. As we move over the object, you can see that each face that the mouse pointer is over is highlighted. We're going to click on the 4 corners here and select these. So I'm going to select the first corner here, and then I'm going to hold down Shift and select this corner here, and while Shift is still held down, select this corner and this corner. Now if we scale these now at the minute, we're not going to get exactly what we want, because all these vertex are connected. It's going to scale everything together. I'm going to Control Z to undo that. What we need to do is to extrude. You can use this icon in the polygon shelf, or we can go up to edit mesh and into extrude. Once we click that, our scale gizmo changes to all 3 gizmos for the extrude tool. It's got the arrows for moving, it's got the cubes here for scaling, and it's got the circle here for rotation. For the minute, with these faces selected and the extrude operation attached to it, we can now hit select the arrow and drag that down. If you're modeling in the perspective viewport, you can hold Alt and rotate with the left mouse button to rotate around the view. I think them legs look okay there for the minute. So now we can deselect these faces by just clicking anywhere in the viewport. That will deselect these faces, but we're still in face component mode. I'm going to rotate around the object here. I'm going to select this one face here. Now we can go back up to extrude here or extrude here, but Maya is pretty clever and basically it remembers the last operation that you did, in this case the extrude. We can access that last operation by hitting the G key. As you can see, our extrude transform gizmo reappears. We can now pull this face up. I'm just going to zoom in a bit, hold an Alt and middle mouse click into pan, and we can pull this face back a bit. If we go into rotate or hitting the E key, we can then select the Z axis here, which is the blue, click on that and rotate that face. Now again we can hit G, it will go back to the extrude tool and pull that face up again, maybe to about there, move it back a bit, hit E again to rotate it slightly, and now hit the G key to go back into the extrude tool, move them faces up. Now if we wanted to add some sort of a cushion to the top of this, we can hit the Q key to go into the select mode, and we can drag out and select all these faces here. Now if we weren't careful with this, we could actually drag out and select a random amount of faces. I'm going to deselect these by clicking on the space. We can select one face here and obviously hold shift and click right around the object to select all the faces that we want, but that could be a long process. If we want to select all the faces in this loop going around, we can select one face, hold down the shift key to add to our selection, and then double click the face next to it. Once we do that, it goes around and selects all the faces in this loop. From here again we can hit the G key to go into the extrude tool and then scale this out, and this time maybe selecting one of the scale boxes and then using the center scale box that appears, we can then scale that in. Maybe bring it out a bit more, hit the scale box again and scale it in again. So that's a brief overview of components inside of Maya and using the extrude tool to extrude out some faces. Hope you found it helpful. Talk to you in the next lesson.